All right, so 7, 9 is more imaginary numbers. Example 1. We have 2 over 4 plus 3i. Just like your square roots, you cannot have imaginary on the bottom. All right? So you can't have I on the bottom. So we have to multiply by the conjugate. Does anybody remember what does it mean to be conjugate? What does it mean to be the opposite of it? So instead of 4 plus 3i, it's going to be 4 minus 3i. So whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. And then you simply distribute the top. So we have 2 times my 4 is 8. 2 times my negative 3i is a negative 6i. On the bottom, ladies and gentlemen, you can FOIL, first, outer, inner, last. But does anybody remember what happens to the middle 2 when you have the conjugate? They cancel out. So remember, you can always do the first and last. So you can do the F and L. So 4 times 4 gives me 16. And last is 3i times a negative 3i, which would be a negative 9i squared. From yesterday, what does I squared mean? Negative 1. So you can, what I do is I kind of go and cross that out and change the sign, so then it'd be one less step. So our final answer on the top is 8 minus 6i. On the bottom, we have 16 plus 9, which gives me 25. Example 2. I want you guys to try this one. We have 7 over 2 minus 5i. So I want you to take a moment and try to do that one. All right. First thing, ladies and gentlemen, what do we got to do? Multiply top and bottom by 2 plus 5i. Distribute, so we have 2 times my 7 is 14, plus 5 times 7i is 35i. Bottom, remember we can always do you can FOIL it to see if that's what happens, but always the middles are going to drop out. So you do your first, which is 2 times 2 gives me my 4. Negative 5i times my positive 5i gives me a negative 25i squared. I squared gives you negative 1, so you can change that sign. And hopefully all of you got 14 plus 35i over 9. Or 29. Over 29. Questions? Only thing I want to reiterate, just to kind of make sure we remember, is I to the, remember I is I, and also the square root of negative 1. This is kind of a review from yesterday real quick. I squared is your negative 1. I cubed is your negative I. And then I to the 4th is 1. Just so you know, if you had I to the, I don't know, I don't want to do the one we already, 21. We'll do 21. What you're doing is you're really, because it's going in multiples of 4. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it keeps going. So what you're doing is you're rewriting this, and how many I to the 4th can you do, right? So you can do 5 of them. But what is I to the 4th? I to the 4th is 1, right? So what you're saying, just so you can kind of see, and I'm going to show you 2 things. You're saying that there's 5 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many left over? So we have right now, we have 20. So how many left over? 1. What is this? 1, right? This is 1, that's 1, that's 1, that's 1. So 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times I is I, right? The easy way to do this, if you, this is how you can, I can prove it to you. However, if you go 21 divided by 4, so that goes 5, right? 5 times 4 is 20, with 1 remaining. The remainder of 1 is here. Remainder of 1 is I. If it's a remainder of 2, it's this. A remainder of 3, it's here. No remainder means that it's 1. So just so you know, that's the other way. So if you don't want to write it all out, the easiest way to do it is to take and divide it out and see what your remainder is. So your answer to I to the 21 is I. You can also count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, which is I. All right? Questions? And that is it on everything you need to know for your test. So,
Nice.
yes.